Yeah.
You know what? Laura O'Sullivan.
Getting ready to go to the course.
I went to the first two meetings, and it's really good promising.
Oh, yeah, and then the youth council, the mayor's youth council, they've done a video. The Moore House Board put us in for part of their grant, because they are not taking out some that they see coming into the hospital. And then the schools have added this to their curriculum. So, we're going to do a report out to the community, but without the community, we can't do anything. We can agree. But they're doing real good, and tennis has been good, and staying focused, you know. And so now they'll find which committee comes up.
How about right after this, we'll get...
Oh, no, time to grab a water.
The second meeting, and everybody who was
Yeah.
supposed to have done something.
You got a minute.
Had actually done it. Like as a reporter guy. I thought,
But you know,
That's good. That's good.
I push it and it was a good community. The health department's on board now. Now we gotta find out which group has the council to come up. Because I can't take minutes like that. I don't know which one. Probably. Nothing else on my
Jakester, or Jokester.
Yeah.
Good evening. The Monday, April 8th, 2019 Common Council meeting is now in session. Our invocation is by Imam Mohammed Sturjuddin of the Islamic Society of Michiana. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Good evening and salam.
Good evening, Salam.
Please join me in prayer for peace this evening. Ya Rabb al-Alameen, O Lord of the universe, you created all human beings from the same essence and breathed of your spirit into each one of us. Assist us to affirm the full dignity and honor of all human beings. Ya Rabb al-Nas, O Lord of all humankind, you created us from one single family of Adam and Eve, made us brothers and sisters in humanity, and fashioned us into males and females, and placed us into different races and religions, not that we may despise each other, but to know each other, to love one another, and to find peace in one another. Ya Rabb as-Salam, O God of peace, there are 50 men, women, and children who are killed unjustly on Friday, March 15th in two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, and many more experienced horror and sustained injuries. Ya Rabb al-Rahmah, O Lord of mercy and compassion, we beseech you to comfort these men, women, and innocent children, and ease their suffering and heal their wounds. We lament and mourn with families of the victims for the lives lost through wanton violence and hatred, and are joined in prayer for their ease and comfort. We bewail and plight of refugees and immigrants torn apart anywhere by all forms of fear, phobia, war, and violence. We pray for all who dedicate their lives working to break the cycle of violence and the silence in our society. Allahumma anta salam, O God, you are the source of peace. Wa minka salam, and peace emanates from you. Fahayyina Rabbana bis-salam, allow us to live and subsist in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. If you would, please turn your cell phones to silent. Ms. Fowler, roll call.
Councilmember Preston?
Here.
Councilmember McBride?
Present.
Councilmember Broden?
Here.
Councilmember Teska?
Here.
Councilmember Davis?
Present.
Councilmember Wardy?
Here.
Councilmember Burley?
Here.
Vice President White?
Present.
President Scott?
Present.
9 present.
Thank you. Report on subcommittee and minutes, please.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the March 11th and March 25th, 2019 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We'll move on to special business. Ms. Fowler, would you please read 1932?
You should approve it.
1932, a special resolution honoring St. John the Baptist Catholic School.
Thank you. Is there a presenter?
Yes, there is. I'd like for all the members of St. John the Baptist School to come on up. Any parents, any teachers? Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Good evening, Council. I'm Oliver Davis, 1801 Nash Street, 6th District Councilman. Glad to be here tonight to give you and present to you a special proclamation to honor St. John the Baptist Catholic School for its achievement. Whereas St. John the Baptist School is led by Pastor Father Glenn Corman and Principal Mr. Brian Carver under the guidance of the Most Reverend Kevin C. Rhodes, Bishop, of all whom are spearheading the growth, the excellence, and the ability of the students and faculty. And whereas St. John prides itself on creating a whole student and striving to ensure that each student best represents the school's mission of teaching students to love the true, good, and beautiful. And whereas during the 2018-2019 academic school year, the amazing third grade students at St. John Baptist School under the direction of Ms. Julia Belinda excelled on the recent IREAD exam with 87% of the students passing the test. This is a small sample of excellent work the students and staff exhibit on a daily basis. And whereas St. John's 7th and 8th grade students have shown amazing growth in mathematics as well as in language arts, due in large part to the efforts of Mrs. Shannon Jones and Ms. Geneva Neal. And whereas St. John's is a small school with a big heart and offers a wide variety of activities outside of the classroom to its students, from robotics and athletics to drama, St. John's offers an elected education experience based on the strong teachings of the Catholic principles. And now, therefore, it be proclaimed by the South Bend Common Council as follows. Section 1. On behalf of the citizens of the City of South Bend, Indiana, we are pleased to honor the academic achievement of the students, staff, and faculty of St. John the Baptist School. Section 2. The City of South Bend continues to be made stronger through the educational achievements of the students, staff, and faculty at St. John's the Baptist School. Section 3. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon the passage by the South Bend Common Council and approval by the mayor. And so I'm glad here tonight we have Mr. Brian Carver. Father Corman sent me an email. He wished that he could be here tonight, but he had another situation that came up. And so we had a meeting just a couple of weeks ago, and they talked to me about their achievement, and we were excited about it and said we were going to honor them tonight. So we have with us right now Mr. Brian Carver, and he's going to share our principal, and then we have our teacher.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, would you please move the microphone a little closer to the center? Thank you.
Thank you. No problem.
Well, as Mr. Davis said, my name is Brian Carver. I'm the principal at St. John the Baptist. And I would just, on behalf of our students and staff and Father Glenn, like to thank you for this recognition. A lot of hard work goes into the school year, far outside of the scope of my responsibilities. And all of the credit for the success that we garner at St. John's really lies on the success of our teachers like Mrs. Melinda, who is our 3rd and 4th grade teacher, and the students. So again, on behalf of Father Glenn and the entire St. John's community, thank you so much for this honor.
Thank you. Anyone else from the crew? Keep the camera rolling. Name and address, please.
Julie Melinda, 2804 Corpus Christi Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46628. I'm amazed by my students. My 3rd graders were worried about the iRead, but they were troopers. They worked really hard. I was especially concerned because we're using the classical curriculum. We don't use the same approach that is tested on the iRead, but they know how to narrate, so they know how to look at a story and take it apart and really dig into it. So I think that helped them a lot. Plus, they all did their very best. They were the best versions of themselves, so it was great to see the results, and it's such an honor to have that recognized for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And who are the students with you?
My own children.
Okay.
Luke and Joseph are 7th graders, and Cadence is a 3rd grader.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Davis, is that...
No, you have
Nope,
to stay.
you stay up there.
Stay up there. We're not finished.
We haven't released you yet.
All righty. Yes.
Mr. Davis, is that the end of your presentation? Thank you. We'll turn to council for comments. We'll start with the 2nd district.
Congratulations on your academic achievement. You make South Bend proud. And as you know, this is going down in the record books forever. So you can always look back and say, you know, I did that. You're a part of the history of the city of South Bend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McBride.
I echo all that. Very impressive to the school, and especially to the principal and you as a teacher and mom, and for the children's hard work. So congratulations to all of you. Great job with your leadership and also pushing them to be better. And so congratulations. Keep working hard, kids, and continue to be great.
Thank you. Ms. Broden.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis, for bringing this before the council, but even more importantly to our community by this resolution honoring St. John the Baptist. A long, strong tradition of outstanding education in South Bend happened to intersect with that education process when I returned from Washington, D.C. as a young 24-year-old, I believe, and spent a year teaching there. So I'm very familiar with your community and the support from the church, the parishioners, and how you really do reach out into the greater neighborhood. So thank you so much, and congratulations on your academic accomplishments.
Mr. Teshka.
Well, thank you, Councilman Davis, for bringing this to us, and thank you guys for all you do on a daily basis to teach our youth and to make sure that our city has a bright future. And thank you to the students for putting everything that you've got into your education. And we can't wait to see what you do when you grow up, and maybe you'll be sitting up here one day. So we hope so. But thank you guys, and congratulations.
Chair Vorty.
Congratulations on your hard work and your achievement. I imagine a lot of the credit goes to the parents as well for their involvement, as well as the principal and the staff there. Keep at it. Keep working. Summer vacation's only a couple of months off.
Still have another test to take.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Councilman Davis for bringing this resolution before us, and to the principal and the teacher on the job well done. To the young students, hard work does pay off. We're so very proud of you. We expect great outcomes, and I know you can't wait until summer is here, right? Mm-hmm. But just remember, during the summer, keep reading and keep studying, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver Davis, for bringing this forth. Thank you all for coming. We are proud of you. It is great that we can highlight positive things in the education in our community. Thank you so much. So,
I make a motion this pass.
we got public.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of this resolution, please come to the podium. Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak against this resolution, please come to the podium. Turn it back to council.
Motion to adopt by acclamation. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Passes.
Go see the principal.
Thank you. Congrats.
Great work, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Nice job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for coming out tonight. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Brown. Is your dad back in town?
He is. He's going for a couple days and he's leaving again. So.
Come to work.
Big fan. Steven Fisher.
So did you go to the games?
Football. I did. I think I'm with this one.
This time, we'll report of city offices. We have no report of city offices. Laura O'Sullivan's in the crowd for the mayor's office. Thank you, Laura, for being here. And I'll entertain a motion to rise and join the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No one opposed.
Okay, the Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where the full council meets as a committee. During each ordinance read by the city clerk, members of the public will have an opportunity to speak either in favor or in opposition. Their comments will be limited to 5 minutes. With that, will the city clerk please read Bill 0619?
0619, public hearing on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 629, 705, and 713 North Notre Dame Avenue, Council Managed District Number 4 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
We have a committee report.
Yes, the ZNA committee met this afternoon, and we bring this bill to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Area plan report.
Good evening, Sean Klein with the Department of Infrastructure, Planning and Roads, with offices on the 11th floor. The petitioners are requesting a zone change from SF2 Single and Two Family District to MF1 Urban Corridor Multifamily District for the area outlined in red. To the north of the site, across Almond Court, is Olivet AME Church, zoned SF2. To the east of the site are single-family homes zoned SF2, as well as multifamily apartments zoned MU mixed use. To the south are multifamily apartments zoned PUD planned unit development, which were rezoned to PUD in 2013 to allow for multifamily use. And to the west are single-family homes zoned SF2. Currently on the site are 2 single-family homes. The site plan shows the development of 6 attached single-family homes. Parking would be located in garages to the rear of the homes. The development would need to meet the development standards of the MF1 Urban Corridor Multifamily District, as well as the Northeast Neighborhood Overlay Zoning District. The petitioners are proposing the following written commitments. The project area shall be limited to a total of 6 single-family attached dwelling units. This rezoning comes to Common Council with a favorable recommendation subject to this written commitment. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Mr. Danch?
Mike Danch from Dan Charner and Associates, 1643 Commerce Drive here in South Bend, representing the petitioners, the University of Notre Dame, and Shamrock Realty LLC. As John has mentioned and what we had talked about in the committee meeting, what we're asking to do is to rezone this property from SF2 to MF1 to allow for 6 single-family homes. The intent is to put each home that you see here on a lot. We will go through the city subdivision process as well to create individual lots. The site's located at the southwest corner of Almond Court and Notre Dame Avenue. As we had discussed, there is a paper alley that is to the west of this particular site. We will be taking that paper alley. We will actually be improving that and making it part of our driveways. Our access will be off of Almond Court. All of the homes that you see here will be facing Notre Dame Avenue. They will be hooked up to city water and sewer. All the drainage will be handled on-site per the latest city standards. What we also gave council was a copy of the written commitments. Those are also the commitments that we have with the neighborhood. We will be recording those, assuming the council approves our particular project. The one commitment that Sean had mentioned, we will also record that commitment as part of our process of approval with not only the city of South Bend, but also the Area Plan Commission and the Building Department. And if you've got any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay, during this portion now, the council will be able to ask any questions they might have of the presenter or Mr. Danch. Anyone? Then we'll go to the public portion. Okay, I'm sorry.
I just thought it was good that you share what happened today at the church
Process.
and your thoughts. Yeah, just hearing from them. I thought that was excellent, and how you talked to the neighbors. I thought that was good.
Sure. Please state your name and address for the record.
And Notre Dame's comments.
Matt DeSalvo, 52 Dawn Harbor Lane, Riverside, Connecticut. I lived on the property as a senior at the university and have known this area for some 35 plus years. Today, I met with Pastor Thomas, the head of Olivet Church, and her board of trustees to explain the project that we're going to do and go over the entire project, so the transparency and communication in that process was met, I thought, very well, and they appreciated the communication that was given to them, and they were, to speak on they are quite pleased with this project.
Thank you.
To upgrade their neighborhood.
It's always good to hear. Thank you.
Greg Hockinen, I'm with the University of Notre Dame, 415 Main Building, Notre Dame, Indiana. And I'm really here in 2 capacities. Obviously, on behalf of Notre Dame, I'm also a representative and board member of the NNRO. So my comments really come from both of those organizations. Our collective vision for this particular block, if you go back 10 or 12 years, was single-family detached housing, a continuation of what you see farther up Notre Dame Avenue, and the vision was it would extend all the way to downtown South Bend. Since then, 3 different apartment projects have arisen: the Orem Apartments, which are oriented toward graduate students, the Belfry and Darby Row, which are across the street and oriented toward undergraduate students. So this changed the character of the block. This project, we believe, both the university and the NNRO, fits in very well with the current character of the block. We think it'll be a large improvement to the built landscape on this block. And with the restrictions, the most important one to us is that if the unit is bought by someone who wants their undergraduate student to live there, that's fine. But no other unrelated undergraduate students can live in a unit. And that was important to us to preserve the residential neighborhood character of the neighborhood. So we ask for your favorable.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Davis, for bringing that up. Anyone else have a question before we go to the public portion? Okay, is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone opposed to the petition? And back to the council.
Move for a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This go to the council favorably. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It goes to council favorably. That is the only item for the committee of the whole.
Motion to rise and resolve from the committee of the whole.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So done.
You get the rise.
Heroes in spirit. The full council is now back in session. Ms. Fowler, would you please give third reading to 0619?
0619, third reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance properly located at 629, 705, 713 North Notre Dame Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Motion for favorable passage?
Second.
Ms. Fowler?
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
Councilmember Broden?
Aye.
Councilmember Teschka?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Gordy?
Aye.
Councilmember Furley?
Aye.
Vice President White?
Aye.
President Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. We'll move on to resolutions. Ms. Fowler, would you please read 1917?
1917, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving the issuance of scrap metal junk dealers recycling operation license for calendar year 2019 pursuant to Section 4-51 of the South Bend Municipal Code.
Thank you. Is there a committee report?
Yes, Health and Public Safety met this afternoon and sends this to the council with a favorable recommendation.
Great. Thank you. Is there a presenter?
Yes, myself. Earlier today, Karima Fowler, offices on the 4th floor, City Clerk. This resolution was presented earlier today by Joe Molnar, who is the Ordinance Violations Bureau Clerk, and I am filling in for him this evening. Earlier today, I believe that he read the cover letter. There's 8 applications. They all went through the appropriate process. This is the process that happens yearly for scrap metal. Those applications are ran through the police department, the fire department, and code enforcement, and all 8 of these were checked off for approval, so they are good to go.
Great. Good. Council, is there any questions for the presenter? No, really? Okay. Thank you.
Just to note, there are 3 that are in process.
Yes, there are. They haven't been signed off by either code, fire, or police. So we wanted to move forward with the ones that were complete so that the entities that are operating have valid licenses.
Good.
So we'll bring the other 3 as soon as they're complete.
Thank you. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1917, please come to the podium. Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak against 1917, please come to the podium. Come back to council. Oh, thank you.
Adoption. Second.
Ms. Fowler. Make you run.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Broden.
Aye.
Councilmember Teschka.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordy.
Aye.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Vice President White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston. Aye. President Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 1918, please.
1918, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, commonly known as 1545 South Olive Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46619, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 5-year personal property tax abatement for Molding Plastics LLC.
Thank you. Is there a committee report?
Yes, Community Investment sends this forward favorably.
Thank you. Presenter.
Yes, Dan Buckenmeyer, Department of Community Investment, 14th floor of this building. If it pleases the council, we have 7 different tax abatements coming before. I'll give a very brief overview of all of those coming forth and then come back and do each one individually if that's permissible.
Very brief.
We have, again, 7 projects coming forward today, and I just wanted to present a little bit of the global picture of what is happening here, and explain again, with a tax abatement, there's a tendency for some folks to think, oh my goodness, we're giving something away, when it's really purely upside. We are looking, as the second bullet notes, at properties with a current tax contributing about $147,000 a year to the tax rolls. With the approval of these abatements, these same properties would, within a decade's time, begin contributing an estimated $1.3 million per year to the tax rolls. This is how tax abatements work. We give businesses an incentive, a bit of a break for a few years in their property taxes that allow them to invest, and invest heavily. In these cases, again, we have 7 tax abatements that total over $60 million in private investment coming into our community. We have 606 jobs being retained in our community. We're adding over 60 jobs. Now again, as I noted this afternoon, that doesn't feel like a lot. Those are only the direct jobs associated directly with these projects. A few of these projects are spec projects. In other words, buildings that are being built for a future tenant. Our history is good with these. Our last 3 spec buildings garnered about 700 employees for the city, and we have 2 additional at almost 400,000 square feet and $20 million of investment coming in. So when you look at them globally, it's a great investment or a great opportunity for South Bend to provide this incentive for these individuals. Again, as it shows from bottom to top, the 2018 pay 2019, our current tax base is lower than $200,000 a year. It's going to escalate to, approaching $2 million a year as we go into the next decade with them. So with that, Molding Products LLC is a wonderful company that's been around for 40-some years in the city of South Bend. They're looking to expand. They've already done the real property side of their investment. They've invested about $5 million in land and building, which will house the equipment, which is the topic of this tax abatement. This is a personal property tax abatement, giving them a break on personal property taxes on capital equipment, which is expected to be about a $5 million investment in order to, again, up their production capacities. By upping that production capacity, they're going to add 20 new jobs, retain 45, and they are good paying jobs, average $18 an hour wage. Just an interesting side note, again, this company is a plastics manufacturer. Their raw materials find their way to end use in everything from bathtubs to Corvettes. So a great legacy company here in the city. Happy to support them. And Troy and Tim are here from the petitioner as well, if you have any questions for any of us.
Thank you, Council. Vice President White.
I would like to hear from the petitioner in regards to the impact. First, we'd like to thank you for your development and your support in terms of working with the city and also with the city administration. But we'd like to hear from the developers in regards to the role that the incentive has played in helping you to make your decision to expand your business here within the city of South Bend.
Okay, I might have to ask that one more time, but I'm sorry. My name is Troy Wade, 1545 South Olive Street. I am the Vice President and General Manager.
Well, my question is that as we look at the tax abatement that's before us, what role did that play in helping you to make your decision or that incentive to continue to expand your business here within the city of South Bend?
Well, I would say that we had plans in doing it, but the plans might have been delayed. So until we could come up with the funds to pay for it, we would have done it in stages. So, employing 20 new people would come later. More production would come later. We would, my hope is that we would have done it anyway, but it would have took much longer.
And could you share with us what the average salary would be, the hourly wages for the employees?
Sure. It's average is anywhere from 18 to 25, depending on what the job is for that position. And of the 20, there's 20 in our petition that we will hire from this project. Of the 62, we've got 20, and there's 5 of them that are salaried employees, and then 15 that are labor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nope, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1918, please come to the podium. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1918, please come to the podium. Thank you. We'll turn it back to council.
Motion for passage. Sorry.
I'd just like to make a brief comment.
Yes.
Tax abatement is sometimes a controversial item. I'm not running for office this election cycle, but I've been to a number of political forums. There are a multitude of candidates out there for council, for mayor, and sometimes I've heard council candidates in particular say we've got to do away with abatement. I wish we had 7 abatements before us every meeting, because that means that people have faith in the future of this community. We're just deferring future taxes. We're not giving anything away. We're creating jobs and we're creating tax base. Tax abatement is something we should all be enthusiastic about, in my mind. Thank you.
I agree with you, and I want to thank you for sharing that, because it's just been a lot of different discussions and emails about the fact that we are giving monies away and blasting us crazy. But you're coming out to the 6th district, another one's coming over there with Catalyst coming over there. I mean, this is wonderful. This is wonderful seeing the old manufacturing section that was not used for a long period of time, and now you see it spring up in that whole area. So, Councilman, I agree with your thoughts, and so thank you for sharing.
And I'll comment too, just to follow up on that. It's like, without this new investment, we wouldn't have the taxes or the jobs on that. And we'll talk about spec buildings too, when you have a field that may generate $1,600 in taxes right now, until there's building, until there is actual employees and businesses in there, that's where the taxes come from.
I have a comment as well. I think I want to also validate, though, the experience and the of what people are hearing or what they think, because there is a way, and there are times when tax abatements are overused, and sometimes we are, and I think what this council has a commitment to do is make sure we're leveraging our tools for attracting investment in a smart way, so that we talk about these opportunity zones, we're talking about the tax abatements, we're talking about TIF, and Dan and I just had a wonderful conversation about beginning to invest in cooperative businesses. And so I think that as we move forward, and I'm sure that we will be doing this, we're going to be having more conversations with the community about redevelopment tools, all of the different ways that we can that we can attract business, so the public has a better understanding of how we're using these tools in a way that is beneficial for the city. So, I've found, for example, in these cases, as we move forward with these tonight, that, these are great investments. I mean, what's happening, what's coming across the table, the jobs being created, the wages, and these are all things we've talked about as council. I know in the short time that I've been on council, looking for having that information right up front so it's easy for us to see and understand the benefit, because this is about community benefit. So, there's one that we're going to talk about that I'll probably mention tonight about, what does it mean? We have another thing on the table about project labor agreements. How can we make sure that as we're doing this, we can start making sure that we're benefiting the community in the best way possible. So, thank you for bringing that up, Councilman Vorty. I think it's a really important conversation, and it's about educating the community and staying connected so everybody is well informed. I agree.
And there is a 2nd district, 1st district, and 6th district where jobs are definitely needed.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
At this,
I was just, if I might, I was just going to add, location,
Right.
really matters, to our community when we look at the benefits of this. And just a general comment out of the benefit of hearing all these petitions together earlier this afternoon and really vetting them, if you would, is, the livable wages, the job opportunities, yes, the training opportunities, yes, public transportation that actually enables people to get to those opportunities, whether they be jobs or training, the ancillary benefit of suppliers buying, if it is, personal property, the investments that are, made here in Indiana to nearby communities and within our own community, all of those things. One of the petitioners tonight is, suggesting a walking path, right, to support the neighborhood. And the conversation about all the synergy and the energy and the different projects that are going in the northwest, section of our city, in your district, Councilmember Scott. I mean, the right location with the right infrastructure can really do a lot for a community. And I think as a council, our conversations have been elevated and our awareness by the public who has come forward, who are in proximity to these locations, asking for additional support. So I think working together, we can check off a lot of positives related, using this tool, but it also spurs additional conversations about doing this in the right way that complements a community. And one of the things that I really love about this batch of abatements is that those conversations have been teed up and they've been, they've been had, and they will be ongoing. And several of the petitioners have a proven track record, and the process where we evaluate these on an annual basis. Did you come for something before in the past? Did you hit your goals and your objectives relative to all of these benefits? Really helps us make our decisions in a much more easier way, and knowing that it's a sure bet, that these will succeed. So I'm really grateful for all of the conversations about benefits, both local and then, broader.
Thank you.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Ms. Fowler.
Thank you.
Aye.
That's it, Joe.
Sorry, because when he, in the beginning, he said...
We're 1918.
No, 19.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
He did.
1918, motion for passage.
He did it, and we had a second.
We have a second. So roll call, Ms. Fowler.
Councilmember Broden?
Aye.
Councilmember Teschner?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon?
Aye.
Councilmember Furley?
Aye.
Vice President White?
Aye.
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
President Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Ms. Fowler, would you please read 1920?
File for you.
1920?
And
1920, yes.
You're not doing 1918?
We just passed 1918.
We just did 1918, so we're 1920.
There is no
I'm
1919.
off.
Okay.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 5245 Dillon Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 5-year personal property tax abatement for Chastix Plastic Service, Inc.
For brevity, I would entertain a motion to hear 1924 at the same time.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Ms. Fowler, 1924, too.
1924. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 5245 Dillon Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, as an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 7-year real property tax abatement for CBK Land Development, LLC.
Thank you. Is there a committee report for both of these?
Yep, Community Investment sends both forward favorably.
Thank you. Before we start, I'm going to make a declaration that I will not be voting on either one of these. The company that I work for, where I'm the Director of Material Management and Purchasing, falls underneath my purview. Chase Plastic is a wonderful supplier of ours, and I'm just doing that for transparency. While I don't benefit directly from any financial gains from the business of Chase Plastic, I'm going to abstain from this vote. Cool. So, is there a presenter?
Yes. Dan Buckenmeyer, Community Investment, 14th floor. So 1920 is a personal property tax abatement for Chase Plastics. Chase Plastics is has been in South Bend for several years. They were an early entrant into Portage Prairie. They're doing a significant expansion of their warehousing facility there. So two sides to this, as the two resolutions imply. One is the personal property tax abatement, giving them a incentive or break on the purchase of capital equipment, an $823,000 investment that they will be making in machines, storage, racking, and so on. It will add additional jobs. They will retain 19 jobs, add 12 additional jobs in part of this. They have a good wage, and these are solid warehousing, logistics jobs, and they have a great organization, great retention. We've spent a fair amount of time with them. They are one of, as Councilwoman Broden noted, this is one of our community members with a great track history. We've done other successful incentives and abatements with them in the past. The second half is the same company, different name. CBK Land Development is the landowning entity associated with Chase Plastics, which owns the property and building, which will house the aforementioned equipment. There will be a $3.5 million investment in this 80,000 square foot expansion. They will add, again, additional warehousing, truck docking, and so on and so forth. I'll leave it at that for now. Michael Hall is here from the as a petitioner, if you have any questions for Michael.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Buckenmeyer? Nope.
I think you answered my question from before. I thought that was really important about the engagement with the neighbors around.
I'll bring that up at the end.
At the end? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, under unfinished business, I think I'll bring it up.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I will mention that. Okay. Thank you. Sir, if you come up, just give us a brief overview of the project, and we'll go from there.
Michael Hall, 5245 Dillon Drive. First off, thank you for this opportunity. We love your support. Without the tax abatements, this expansion, we need it now. We're actually diverting some of the storage capacity that we have to other regions of the United States just because we physically do not have the room. So the tax abatements will help us greatly in terms of our positive cash flow, which we're turning around and investing immediately into additional jobs and keeping our, I'm going to call our wages at a market plus. So 80,000 square foot facility. The contract has been awarded to a local general contractor who's going to use vendors and local subcontractors for the project. And any additional questions, I'll be happy to ask.
Thank you, Council. Any questions? Nope. Thank you, sir. We'll open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of 1920 or 24, please come to the podium. Anyone wishing to speak against 1920 or 1924, please come to the podium. I'll entertain a motion for 1920 first.
Motion to adopt.
Second. Ms. Fowler.
Councilmember Testa?
Aye.
Councilmember Vorty?
Aye. Excuse me.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Furley?
Aye.
Vice President White?
Aye.
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
Councilmember Broden? Aye. President Scott?
I'm abstaining.
Oh,
8 ayes.
oh, 8 ayes.
Okay. Entertain a motion on 1924.
Motion for adoption.
Second. Ms. Fowler.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Vorty?
Aye.
Councilmember Furley?
Aye.
Vice President White?
Aye.
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
Councilmember Broden?
Aye.
Councilmember Testa?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Fowler, 1922, please.
1922, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend commonly known as 4373 Ameritech Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 7-year real property tax abatement for Hopkins Property LLC.
Thank you. Is a committee report.
Community investment sends this forward favorably.
How ironic. City Presenter.
Yes, sir. Dan Muckenmeyer, DCI, 14th floor of this building. So the recipient is Hopkins Properties, also known as Truck Centers Inc., TCI, formerly known as Hill Truck Center down on Sample Street. So this is an exciting expansion and relocation of another longtime South Bend company. They presently are located right next to our Central Services building on Sample Street. They're moving to a great location for their business right at the corner, if you will, of routes 31 and 80, the bypass and the tollway, where they'll have great visibility and opportunity to capture that truck traffic as a dealer in new trucks and a repair center for trucks. It's a significant investment. It's almost $18 million investment in this facility. It'll be a 100,000 square foot facility. They will retain 42 jobs. They'll add 30 new jobs. Again, these are very desirable pay rate of $15 to $25 per hour for these truck diesel technicians. Great opportunity, I think, for the city of South Bend. It takes a otherwise simply wooded corner and turns it into something pretty special, and that many passersby will see as they come into our city. So the petitioners, Mr. John Hopkins, who is the chairman and CEO, is in from their headquarters in Illinois, and then Tyler Yates is here from, he's a VP and heads up the South Bend location. Gentlemen, if you want to come up and you may ask any questions of them or myself.
Thank you. Any questions for the petitioner at this time? Seeing none.
No questions. We just wish them farewell from the 6th District and Sample Street, and you move forward up to the 1st District. But
We'll share the love, Oliver.
I know, but at least you're still in the city, but we'll miss you.
Sir, would you please state your name and address and just give a brief overview?
John Hopkins, 38 Country Club View, Edwardsville, Illinois, 62025. And as Dan has so well done, this is a significant project for us, and one that we feel is very important, and a major investment for us, much more than what we've typically invested in facilities, much larger than what we've typically invested, and going to take a major expansion of employment opportunities for technicians, parts people, and so on. And as Dan alluded to, minimum 15, a lot of them are going to be $18 to $30 per hour. We know at least 30 jobs, and we think it could be more than that. So, again, we're just grateful for the opportunity to be considered, and would consider it a blessing if you would approve our opportunity here. And Tyler is our local resident.
Tyler Yates, 7503 Granger, Indiana. John pretty much hit the nail on the head. We really appreciate your guys' support and allowing us to move forward with this project.
And now, thank you. Any questions? Ms. Williams-Preston.
One, I want to just thank you. You shared, and maybe you could share more with the public for the record, your longstanding commitment to this community, and just how you stick with, and you actually, I think you talked about having multi-generations of families working for your community. So I'd like to hear more about that, and then I have another question.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to expand on that. We are 49 years in business. When we acquired Hill Truck Sales, they've been in this area for 54 years, and we acquired them in January of 2016. So we gave them all the seniority of their previous years of employment. Just awarded last week a 45-year employment award, which included a very nice check and plaque to one of our longtime technicians up here. Today, just awarded a 35-year award.
a nice plaque and check to a long-term employee. We have 20 employees that are with us for over 40 years in our company right now, 165 that are over 20 years with us. We do have multi-generational, and I think that's the greatest legacy and one of the greatest honors we can have is when his father has asked his son to be a part of our business and his brother to be a part of our business, and many others are the same way. So we have a lot of second and third generation that are a part of us. Training and education is really huge for us because our industry keeps evolving and changing, and there's lots of disruption going on, so we got to be really quick at moving. So we do have dedicated training centers. We have our own dedicated school. We've been doing the school now for 5 years, and we've got 55 graduates from the school, and all 55 of them are still employed by us over this past 5 years. All really great, strong technicians or parts people. At our training center, we've trained over 6,000 technicians across North America at our Troy, Illinois location. We're going to have a sub-training center here in South Bend because of the distance from our Troy location. And Tyler's already got that person being trained. It takes about 2 years to get them trained to be able to educate and train all of our people and certify them. So, again, just a great opportunity for us to be here and be a part of your community. And I know you had another follow-up question.
I do. So again, thank you, because it's businesses like these that we really appreciate having, and look forward to you remaining in our community and continuing the service and the benefits that you bring. I think I'm not sure I asked, you're building this new building. Have you awarded that contract yet?
We haven't awarded the contract. We've worked with a company that is based in the southern Michigan area, northern Indiana area, Morton Buildings. So we've been working with them on estimates and pricing and what kind of variances we would need and so on. But there's not been an awarding of contract. We haven't made a definitive decision to go forward pending the council's approval.
Okay, so given that, would you be interested or willing to have a conversation about a project labor agreement, something that just puts it on the books about how I'm sure you already would be contracting with local contractors and being a good kind of making sure that who you're contracting with is working with our people as well?
We would love to enter into those discussions with you.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'm just glad you're bringing part of that training center here. And otherwise, I don't know where you would find all these diesel techs. Right? I mean, they're about as scarce as they get nowadays. And I think this adds to another initiative and something that should be a part of this council's priority is training our folks for these types of positions, right? And these jobs that we're bringing to the city, we need to have the workforce developed to move into those positions seamlessly. And thank you for the work that you're doing on that end as well. I think that's great.
Thank you.
Just quickly, and this isn't just for you, but some of the other petitioners in the group, but Mr. Buckmeyer mentioned, it's a wooded piece of land, basically, that's going to be converted into, your wonderful uses and terrific benefit for the community. But just to recognize, I think, as a city, we have pretty low standards, I would like to call out, in terms of landscaping, sort of looking at things from an environmental impact, building-wise. And so I guess, and I acknowledge that all the petitioners are currently supporting local not-for-profits, it's part of our application process. But I would just like to, throw it out there that as our conversation moves, or as our community moves in conversations about sustainability, climate impact, I would like to, put it out there as we go forward with some of these approvals, and you, as you are going forward in your process of, working with contractors who are going to build this out, that you maybe take a look at some of those as those opportunities to present themselves to kind of check some of those boxes. Because I think, we can look at that on a short-term benefit, midterm, and long-term benefit. And I would hope that, our developer communities could see a partnership in that. If you can't do it on-site, to find ways to offset it, within our broader community. Plant some trees, if not in this location, or, some mitigating kind of, or approaches, if not on your own location, perhaps elsewhere. But that's not specific to you, it's actually to the broader group.
One of the big things we've done on our most recent 2 building projects was big solar array assemblies. So
Thank
we're
you.
very big with solar power.
That's great.
Self-sustaining.
I'll invoke the presidential last question, comment, and this is for the record. Please state what baseball team you support.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
Well, in that case,
Eyes before.
no, see, I wasn't gonna say nothing. You're already moving out of the
Is there a
district.
motion? Oh, yeah, public, I'm sorry. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of, I forgot where we're at, 1922,
Yeah.
please come to the podium.
Like a Cardinal would.
We've got too many trophies in the way. Anyone wishing to speak against 1922, please come to the podium.
I'm gonna come back on that one.
Seeing none, we'll turn it back to council for a motion.
Motion for adoption.
Second. Ms. Cochran.
Councilmember Gordy.
Aye.
Councilmember Furlick.
Aye.
Vice President White.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Roden.
Aye.
Councilmember Testa.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Bye-bye from the 6th District. Aye.
I'm sorry, Jen.
Yeah, she said President Scott.
Okay, I didn't hear you. Oliver was carrying on. Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Would you please read 1926, please? Thank you.
1926, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as Ignition Park, South Bend, Indiana 46601, an economic revitalization area for purposes of an 8-year real property tax abatement for Catalyst 3 LLC.
Thank you. Is there a committee report?
Yes, Community Investment sends this forward favorably.
Thank you. Presenter?
Yes, Dan Buckenmeyer, DCI 16th? That'd be something. 14th floor of this building. So this is a pretty exciting one for South Bend. Not only is it a build-out of our Ignition Park and some growth there, but it is a retention effort for one of our treasured existing and large existing employers. First, the office building. This will be a $16 million investment in a 83,000 square foot building. It will be larger, ironically, than the other two in order to house this large employer. The other two that you see there, Catalyst 1 and 2, are both only about 50,000 roughly square feet. The 500 retained jobs come by way of a organization that started here over 30 years ago, has been with South Bend through that entire time, but has seen significant and nationwide growth. And with that, they had reason recently to consider a departure from South Bend in part due to some state tax situations that they face due to the unique nature of their business. We have worked diligently with them to give them good reason to stay beyond just their desire to stay in their birthplace, if you will, and where they have about 500 plus valued employees. These are important jobs to South Bend, I'll note. These are consultants and higher paying salary jobs that would leave quite a hole if a company like this were to leave. These are jobs we could not readily replace. So it is very thrilling that we are talking about retaining Press Ganey in this effort, and directly through this tax abatement, which via a triple net lease wherein they as tenant would pay the property taxes. This is a direct benefit to them. Now, Jeff Smoke is here from Great Lakes Capital, who's the developer and builder. My team from PG, who you met this afternoon, unfortunately called out, so they're not here right now. But they send their regrets, first of all, but also thank you for the consideration. As they said this afternoon, it's very critical. It's part of a three-part element. We want to seal this in and kind of give, quite frankly, the state a little kick in the pants to get their incentives in line and solidified for this so we can get ink on this deal. So with that, if there are any other questions for myself or for Mr. Smoke of Great Lakes.
Any questions?
I think that you had kind of touched on that this was a situation, and the gentleman spoke earlier in committee, that we really could have lost this opportunity. A long-standing business with lots and lots of jobs. So it was really important to make this available, this tax incentive available for them,
Right.
so they could stay.
And if you look at this one, you'll see it's a heavier incentive than we typically do. It pushes the envelope of almost 20%, whereas most of these that we're talking about today are below 15, closer to 10. That's through direct conversations with the mayor and just working very hard to make this meaningful for PG.
But the $900,000 public funding, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to gloss over that. It is unusual to pair TIF with tax abatement. We try not to do that. Sometimes in special situations we do stack. So the reason this happened here is, again, when you look at this map and the two, soon to be three buildings, that was part of a contract that was done between the city and Great Lakes Capital back in 2015. So that was a development agreement that provided $900 in TIF incentive for each of the three buildings as they were built. So that was already baked into this as a bid, as PG frankly looked at this site and other sites with other developers throughout the city over the last 18 months, 2 years. It helped this site win, quite frankly. But again, that 900 benefit will go to the building, and frankly will probably go to parking lots and landscaping and so on, local public improvements. Again, the tax abatement will go through the owner and as a direct benefit to PG themselves.
Thank you. Ms. Broden?
So this is a consolidation, though, right? I mean, it's a move, but it's also brings about a consolidation of some of their different components, correct?
Yeah, as Mr. Williams said this afternoon, they're kind of spread out across about 4 buildings right now, and buildings that are in some disrepair and so on. So, I mean, it's affected employee morale and so on, other elements. But this brings them all under one roof and has good benefits in that regard.
And would this include room for expansion of their workforce?
There's a little room for expansion, yes.
And then my last question is, let me find it, sorry. The other buildings. I mean, certainly one of these is in a pretty prime spot along our river.
The buildings that they'll be vacating?
Yeah, the buildings they're vacating. Any known?
I mean, we don't have a signed lease here, so we haven't had those conversations, of course, yet, but our general consensus is these are riverfront buildings, and there will be great opportunity there. We're not too worried about them remaining.
And thank you. And my last is more just a comment and a compliment to the staff of DCI. When you look at this as a 5-year project, frankly, I mean, and trying, to get at this retention. So, and to thank Prescani for their willingness to work with us, but, certainly at the staff level, to you and your counterparts, to, bring this forth to make this happen.
Yeah, for the record,
and of course, the developers.
It's been all the way up and down the chain from the developers to, I mean, we have had, a year ago, roughly, we were sitting in the mayor's conference room with himself and Jim Schellinger and his team from downstate. This has been very, very involved and I don't want to put a negative word on it. It has, not that it's been teased in a bad way, but I mean, we've worked very hard at this, and every member of the team has, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Karen, you have I had one question. Recently, we attended...
I didn't show you the building, sorry.
No, we attended a workshop dealing with opportunity zones.
Yes.
Is this building in an opportunity zone? And if so, what would that mean in terms of any type of impact or incentives?
Right, so the building, all of Ignition Park is in one of the census tracts that encompasses our 5 census tracts that are our opportunity zones. Actually, I can't speak to what that means. In one manner, yes, that could benefit from it. There could be Did the developer want to create a fund for folks to invest their capital gains, which the Opportunity Zones are a vehicle for? There could be investment in this building from other outside resources. I don't know that that's happened.
It's not approved yet, administratively.
Good evening, Jeff Smoke, 112 West Jefferson. In terms of the Opportunity Zones, there's still a lot of language that's being fleshed out and how those are being implemented, and some have been already, but basically what it does, it allows lower cost of capital to go in and help incentivize projects. So we're not planning on that for this one yet because the language is still new, but we may end up doing it in the end. So it's all being worked out in real time.
Thank you. Mr. Gordy.
One quick one. Jeff, is this an urban enterprise zone? And if so, are there any benefits that accrue to someone doing anything in an UEZ now?
I believe it is in the zone, but we haven't done much with...
Yeah, used to be money available for training. I don't know.
We don't have that much.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1926, please come to the podium. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1926, please come to the podium. Turn it back to council.
I have a comment.
There you go. Go ahead, Oliver.
I just want to again thank you. When we sat in this council a few years ago about the whole Mission Park, we were highly concerned that Innovation Park was going to be the big success, and for Mission Park was going to be pretty much left to fend for itself. And that has not been the case at all. And I remember talking to Mayor Steve about that, and Mayor Peters continued that. And this is really creating that, the way that's set up, with the way the Catalyst is set up. When we brought people to that building, because I'm all in this Catalyst too, they've been amazed. And it's just gives a whole different flavor to the whole Rome Village area as you come through that section. And I think it's going to really build up that whole section. And I'm just highly pleased to be a part of this.
I'm thrilled you brought that up because you bring up a great point. I think that when this happens, this will be absolutely transformational. You throw 500 people into any concentrated area, you're going to have a transformational effect. And
I mean, I can see stores coming. People are going to want more real to eat, from restaurants to the eating places to everything else. From my house, it's going to be much easier to just enjoy life. And so, yeah.
As part of this expansion, we will be adding a full-service cafe.
Okay.
Catalyst 1. So that's part of this project.
I work with you with the menu, and we can do that kind of thing. That'll be cool. And so I'm at peace. And with that favor, I'm ready to make that motion for adoption with the menu and everything else. I'm good. Appreciate it.
There's a second. Jen, roll call, please.
Councilmember Furley.
Aye.
Vice President Whiting.
Aye.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Roden.
Aye.
Councilmember Teschka.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Low-fat aye.
Councilmember Morty.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you.
Good job.
Ms. Coffin, 1928, please.
1928, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as northeast corner of Adam Road and US 31 Bypass, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 6-year real property tax abatement for GLC Portage Prairie 4 LLC.
Thank you. Is there a committee report?
Community Investment sends this forward favorably.
Thank you. Presenter?
Dan Buckmeyer, 14th floor, DCI. So this is the first of two. I'll just do a little preamble on the next two that are coming, if you'll humor me. As I said this afternoon, if you want to show economic strength, growth, and vitality in a community, look for spec buildings. And we just talked about in these past, in the 5 tax abatements we've already gone through, we've talked about $40 million in investment in our community. These next two include $20 million in investment in buildings that currently have no proposed tenant, that we can count no proposed jobs from because we don't know who's going to go in there. But again, we have a good track record. The last 3 spec buildings that the current petitioner GLC did brought about 700 jobs. So it is just an exciting moment really for an economic development geek like myself to stand up here and talk about this level of investment from 2 of our most trusted partners and most valued partners in the city in terms of developers and their commitment to the community. So that said, we'll start with Great Lakes Capital. One thing, do I have a pointer in this? Yeah, I do. Okay.
Dan, if you'd point at this one over here.
So this is where CTDI is. That was what was known as Spec 3 when it was built. It now houses 500 plus employees. The subject area for the new building is just north of that. This just shows all as yellow because it's a single plat right now. It will be platted off in a smaller piece here. Sorry, my hand isn't shaking that much, I don't think. It's just hard to point this thing. In any event, it'll be a $7 million investment in a 166,000 square foot building. Again, styled to house either a light industrial manufacturer or a logistics or warehousing distribution type of company. And again, the great access to I-8090. And then again, we don't list any jobs per se from this, but we do expect, again, indirect jobs. GLC will not hire or employ them directly, but they will be employed by their eventual tenants. So this is the first of those 2 spec buildings. Jeff, again, is here if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Can we talk about your comments now?
And I think it's good to clarify that about the traffic patterns, how you've been looking at, how people will access that property. You mentioned that?
I can speak to that.
Okay, go ahead.
I think this is a good time now. So, yeah, I mean, when CTDI went in,
Back to the other screen.
there was a lot of concern with what is in yellow right now going almost up to Bertrand Road, the Michigan line. This council has approved buildings within here that there would not be any access to Mayflower or anywhere up, even if it got to Bertrand Road. I've worked as the first district rep with community investment. Dan's been involved, as well as engineering, on working to improve the roads and access in and out of this and flow for better peaceful traffic for the citizens that live within the area, which is county. So if you look, Mayflower Road is county road. Everything around this is pretty much county. The houses along Adams is county as well. So the one thing that was mentioned earlier that was kind of overmissed was the state is going to be working on the off-ramps in the bypass within that area, but also the city and TIF dollars are going into improving Cleveland Road, that access. The 12 points go beyond that. Dan and I have been working together, and right now it's a study by engineering. Our engineering as well as the county engineering, because we have to have county cooperation on this as well, is looking at traffic patterns, looking at road conditions, what are the roads like, but also then working with the developers and the businesses to understand, so their employees understand where they need to come and go out of there so everybody has a better quality of life. And we'll be looking at other traffic solutions with it. One thing is there's no really good wayfinding signs when anybody comes off the highways, to say you need to go here to get to Dillon Drive instead of a very small sign on Orange Road that says no trucks, which when I looked at it, it's literally this big. It's a 1x14 type sign, which what we need coming off, and we're going to work with the state as well, is I would love to see lighted signs. So in the wintertime and when the weather is bad and then dark, it is pointing trucks in the right direction.
Right.
So there are some simple, cheap solutions that we can do, and there's some more expensive things that we're going to have cooperation not only from the developers, the city, but also the county. So that was mentioned earlier in committee today, and we'll continue those. There was progress, but then spring break and all that kicked in, so Dan and I will be following up. I did send last week an email for status update, so we can pull out information together. Once I get that and what's going on, I'll share that with council and with the public. So,
Thank you, President Scott, because you've really done a lot of work, and this is a good example of how our decisions in the city impact the county, and it's just a wonderful example of us working together to make sure that we're taking care of everybody.
yes, and it is taking a little more for that work and cooperation to go forth. So, Bobby Kay, County Councilman, he's been involved with these meetings as well, and is very supportive of us moving along the right way. Growing pains. They're good, these are good problems that we have. We just need to solve it for all the citizens. Anything else? Anyone wants to add comments?
All of it, on anything?
No, just this. Just this.
Just this one
Right.
resolution?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, quick. We talked also in committee about, I've been asking everybody, have you awarded the contract yet? You mentioned before that you usually work with the Georgia Builders. You hadn't decided yet, or hadn't written a contract, hadn't?
Correct.
And so I'll just ask you again for public record, would you be willing to have a conversation about doing a project labor agreement just to solidify, with your builders, that community benefit?
Yes, we'd entertain those discussions, certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Just actually to concur with the comments about your leadership, but to highlight, I think, too, your responsiveness to the actual citizens who came before the council. I know on our very first vote related to your earlier project, that was, input that council had received, so thank you for your leadership on that. But I also think it's important and to thank staff both and representatives, elected representatives at the city and county. But I think it's really important that as we move forward, and I'm glad we're going to have an update, that we actually solidify some timing on these improvements. I think the message that help is on the way is, kind of vague, but if we can say help is on the way and these are our priority projects by X deadlines, I think that's a much more substantial response. So I appreciate, I look forward to those types of punches.
Just to follow up, because within the last week and a half, we found out about Cleveland Road that the city, I think it's about $2 million that are going to put into Cleveland Road. So the idea was say, yes, this is what we're going to do. Working out the details, we don't have that, and we'll bring that forth. Anything else I missed, Ann? No. No, good. All right, we'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of 1928, please come to the podium. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1928, please come to the podium. Turn it back to council.
Motion for passage?
Second. Ms. Kaufman.
Vice President White?
Aye.
Councilmember Preston?
Aye.
Councilmember McBride?
Aye.
Councilmember Broden?
Aye.
Councilmember Teska?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Bordy?
Aye.
Councilmember Furlick?
Aye.
President Scott?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. 1930, please.
1930, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 24605 Cleveland Road, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 6-year real property tax abatement for 31 NIMS Land LLC.
Thank you. Is there a committee report?
Community investments under this board favorably.
Thank you. Presenter.
Yes, Dan Buckenmeyer, DCI 14th floor of this building. So this is the second of 2 spec buildings. This one is well over 200,000 square feet, 225. A nearly $13 million project. Before I should have oriented, again, this is Nymphs Road runs across the southern border of this map that's on here. The parkway, or the bypass, US 31 runs along the right side of that map. If you were to go to the the northwest there, you'd bump into Tire Rack, just to kind of orient you by what companies are around here. So this will fill a empty tooth. Actually, it was one of these 2 parcels that this will fill was just annexed into the city. And again, it's just a great testament to the confidence that our city developers and partners have in the continued growth and investment in South Bend. We expect it'll bring a wonderful number of indirect jobs, whether it becomes utilized as light manufacturing or warehousing or some mix within that 225,000 square feet. Paul Fair is here from Holiday Properties, who is the developer, and Holiday Construction is the builder. So any questions you have for he or I?
Any questions? Any questions for the petitioner? Seeing none. Paul, you're getting off cheap.
Right.
He did his homework.
Yes, he does. No, that's fine.
You guys were kind of the early adopters out in terms of this area. So, I mean, I think that should be noted. You know, you were kind of first in and on the scene, and a lot has followed after you. So I want to recognize your initial and early efforts on that. And then as well as, I would say, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, you know, some of our partners with, you know, regional planning has really identified needs here. And so, you know, between private, public, inclusive of our community investment staff, our leadership and administration, I think a lot of this has really come together. So I want to acknowledge your company, your predecessors in those early efforts.
Yeah, thank you very much. You're absolutely right. I mean, even before I joined the company, and I've been with Holiday 13 years now, we really were early in getting into this northwest area and saw the potential that the toll road and the 31 intersection really had for industry in our town. And over the years, we've developed many buildings out in this area. We still own about 750,000 square feet in addition to the one we're talking about. But I'll bet we've probably developed another 1.5 million, maybe 2 million square feet out in this area that we've since sold over the last 2 decades. It's been a great area, and personally for me, up in the what was formerly known as Portage Prairie area, that really was my sole focus from day one. So I'm thrilled to see it, you know, grow into what it's become. And we're excited to get this project going. Thank you all for the opportunity. You know, this abatement will be huge in offsetting our risk for such a major investment and attracting the tenants to make the project successful for both us and the community at large.
Thank you.
I'd also just like to know, and Dan, maybe you touched on this, but Holiday is one I think that right within our community has a proven track record of meeting their obligations, and thank you, Paul, and obviously to your father as well, and all that Holiday has done for us here in this community. That should be noted.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public?
I really liked the question one of the questions that Councilman Davis asked in committee. Do you remember that, Councilman Davis, about how does this make us more?
What I asked in terms of the issue of putting us, as we look at our sister cities, Mishawaka, Elkhart, how does this put us in terms of positioning as we look at those kind of cities, in terms of position us in marketing, businesses, attracting those kind of businesses?
Right, and you know, Dan mentioned that having 2 spec buildings is really a good indication of the confidence that people have in the community. You know, if we were in Chicagoland or a large market, spec building is more standard. It's a traditional way for large industrial developers to do that. But in communities of our size, it is not a very typical thing to see in great numbers. So we definitely will have the advantage of having space available over some of our the cities in close proximity that don't have that same advantage.
And just to follow up on that, when Great Lakes built the 200,000 square foot in Portage Prairie area, there were only 13 distribution buildings that size, 200,000 square foot or larger with 32-foot ceilings. And I think there was only 13 of them in the entire state. So the demand is there. I can tell you that, so.
And one of the things you said specifically in answer to his question was, specifically what it does, it can cut the time frame for businesses looking to set up right away. And so that's one of the advantages that we'll have with the spec building.
No doubt, no doubt. And most companies just don't want to take the time necessary to plan a new building, so having something ready to go for them can take their time frame from 15 months to 4 months, and it's a huge advantage for them to be able to move with the speed of business, be able to react more quickly to market forces, all that good stuff.
Thank you. Vice President White.
This is just another example of the council working with not only the developer, with administration, but also with the citizen. I was on the council at the time when this project, or the vision of having Portage Prairie come to our community. And not only did we have extensive meetings, but we met on Saturdays. And we dealt with the residents, we listened, we did our best to, make sure that their concerns were heard. And we made sure that as we moved forward, that we did our best to ensure that the developer had the support that they needed, but also that our residents, as much as possible, that their needs were heard. But if you think that we had late meetings previously, we had almost every Saturday, we were meeting about this particular project. And again, we see the results of the work that council did way back, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I joined in
you were still in college,
2005.
weren't you?
Yeah,
And we always thought you were still
I
in
missed
college.
a good chunk of it.
Oh, lucky you,
So-
lucky you, okay.
And Ms. White, I hope we don't try to prove a point tonight, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to prove one.
No, you're
But
good.
thank you for your work.
All right. We will open up the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of 1930, please come to the podium. Anyone wishing to speak against 1930, please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll turn it back to council.
Motion for adoption.
Second. Ms. Thompson.
Councilmember Preston.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Broden.
Aye.
Councilmember Testa.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordy.
Aye.
Councilmember Furlick.
Aye.
Vice President White.
Aye.
President Scott.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you all. Move on to first readings. Ms. Kaufman, would you please read 1019?
1019, first reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and seeking a special exception use for property located west and adjacent to 6100 Nibbs Parkway, Councilmanic District Number 1 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
I move this be sent to the Area Plan Commission for their consideration on 5/21, and then set for second reading and public hearing on 5/28 for us, and referred to the Zoning and Annexation Committee. 5/28, though, as you said, Mr. President, is a Tuesday, so we have to, I guess, make a motion to change our Monday to Tuesday.
I would probably entertain that motion right now. Memorial Day is on the 27th, which is a council
Should we finish-
Monday.
Should we finish that one real quick?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, second.
Go ahead. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to move the Memorial Day Monday meeting to the Tuesday?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. 1119, Ms. Kaufman.
1119, first reading on an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 121 East Tut Street, Councilmanic District Number 2 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
In like manner, I move that this be referred to the Area Plan Commission for their consideration on 5/21, and then set for second reading and public hearing at our meeting on 5/28, and it be referred to the Zoning and Annexation Committee.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Unfinished business?
Yes. Without discussing too much, because I know we have a first reading coming up on ordinance that we just went over, 1119. I was in conversation with our city attorney, and we were trying to go over the lease agreement. There's been a lot of discussion of the lease said that the weather amnesty was going to close on April the 15th or went up to April the 15th, but ended up closing on April the 1st. And just wanted to give some clarification on that. And I know that there was a meeting we had before I could make the last meeting, but in terms of, are you aware of any planning? What is being said is there was no planning, it was just closed. And I know Mr. Dave Matthews had a meeting with them yesterday, but what is your knowledge about the case and everything else?
My knowledge is that the original lease agreement between the owner of the premises on 10th Street and Hope Ministries provided for a lease that ended on April 15th of this year. Following a resolution of this council to keep weather amnesty open as a possible remedy until April 1st of this year. So there would be a 2-week period from the time that the weather amnesty ended and the lease terminated. I'm not aware of what happened on April 1st as far as vacating the premises or anything like that, and I'm also not aware of any continued discussions between the Hope Ministries or the city and the owner of the 10th Street premises as for additional lease for weather amnesty purposes.
Thank you. Ms. O'Sullivan, is there any kind of light that you could share with us regarding where we are? Because we're getting questions on that.
Laura O'Sullivan, Chief of Staff, Mayor's Office, 14th floor of this building. I do not have an update on that. The latest update, you can refer to the notes that were provided by Pam Meyer 2 weeks ago in the Health and Safety Committee meeting.
Is there any way you can provide us a fresh update regarding that is going on, given the comments from the media, the comments from everything else, of where we are today? Is there any, what's been done until people can make a public statement that it's been basically being said that it's closed, they created Tent City came in there, and the city has wiped all of that out. It's created this whole turnaround and rumble all this time, as you probably are aware of. And so, what can we do to be proactive? And I know in our whole conversation with weather amnesty and that we had before, where we were getting everything done prior to the June date that we had talked about, July date.
Sure, we can get you an update on that, but I don't
I
have
appreciate that, if you can get that up within, how soon can we expect that?
Give me 2 days.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks. I'm at peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brogan.
Yes, just to kind of bring the public who's up to date with regard to a climate resolution. Councilmember Teschka, as chair of the Utilities Committee, and myself as chair of Health and Public Safety, will be bringing forward to the council on Monday, April 22nd, 7 p.m. meeting, a resolution relative to some early steps that council, asking council to look at some early steps and leadership. And so to that, we had a presentation in committee today from Therese Duro, Department of Sustainability, and she provided a PowerPoint presentation. We'll hope to get that live and available to individuals under the council initiatives portion of our webpage, and also individuals can get a hold of it by contacting any one of their council members as well. But if I might just quickly solicit, we are looking for input. What was presented today within the context of the committee meeting was basically an outline of what council is considering, And we are entertaining input from the community on that, so you can contact any of the chairs of the committees as well as your own council member. That document will hopefully be online tomorrow, and as well as the two additional handouts that was provided to council, which already are currently part of the public record under council initiatives. So I'll just quickly, one is from our Urban Sustainability Directors Network. It is Appendix A, USDN, GHG Reduction High Impact Practices. So basically, greenhouse gas reduction high impact practices is something that could inform the discussions going forward, both at the council and community level. And then a second document, handout, the United States Conference of Mayors and the Center for Climate and Energy Solutions, the Alliance for a Sustainable Future. There's a quick, I think 4 or 5 page document, again, that could also inform our discussions leading into the April 22nd request from council to pass a resolution relative to climate change and impact. And just to also direct the public to the entire public record will be rounded out, including the minutes from the February 18th meeting and the February 27th meeting. And I would like to expressly thank, on behalf of my committee, Graham Sparks and the clerk's office, for all their work, and the Sustainability Office, and particularly Therese Duro and Eric Horvath for their for all of your support and your leadership on this issue here to date. And I look forward to our April 22nd meeting and our consideration as council on this.
Thank you. Anything else on our unfinished? Seeing none. Anything under new business? Seeing none. We will move to privilege of the floor. This is where citizens can come and speak to the common council. You cannot address anything that was on the agenda tonight. You have 3 minutes. You need to state your name and address, and you come to the podium, and Councilperson Gavin Furlick will time you, and that's it. All fair? No?
Mr.
It's a privilege, and I got something I know I left one in everyone's, please.
We can't hear you. Name and address.
Just if he can take these to make sure each and every...
Name and address, please.
Name is Rod Goodchild, 837 South 24th Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46615, right next to Potawatomi Park. I come today to thank everyone on this panel, on this, our council members. I want to especially point out the PAC, as they say, or PARC, P-A-R-C committee. Sharon McBride, chairperson, I can't thank you enough. You've taken the baton as a runner myself on 2 U.S. teams, 80 and 84, Masters Gold, top runner at 40, and trying my best to be at 70 to break the American record. But when you write a book and people respect you and you put your heart and your soul into it, it does continue to keep you on the path. And if I tell anybody, if they can just get a ticket to get on the plane, you can get to wherever you're going, but you need a ticket. And my ticket was that my father and what he left me, there was nothing more, the story, than coming from an Indian reservation when your grandma, Dory, was 100 years old when I was 5, and that made her 1850, that she would have been born. And to think that we have had now 11 spirit animal carvings, thanks to, as the members go, Gavin, you're the vice chair, your father totally supported it. Oliver, you were there and spoke of my father. He was smiling. My sister, she had 20 years with Phil Sinclair. He wrote in your newspaper, your employees from the city, the dedication to her and her service, Sue Stevenson Goodchild, over 20 years. And with that, John Wardy is Without him, it would have never happened. And I thank everyone. I know it chokes me up sometimes, and you see this plaque, and it says, "Good Child." When I was in grade school, that was the first time I saw my name, Roderick Goodchild.
And you have 30 seconds.
From delivering papers. 3 areas I had to get the flag, Aaron Perry got that, to get the 14 spirit animals, we have that done with the rock from my dad, and for the 11 stones that give the message. As Mayor Pete said, you can't write a book with blank pages, you can't understand what the 11 carvings are without the message. And the message, as you all seen, they're there. The Native Americans have all spoken, and they all want it done. And I've heard now from the parks that it's going to be done, and it will be in time for the best week ever coming up in June. Thank you so much, everyone. I can't thank you enough for all your support. And it goes without saying.
And your time is up.
Everybody had to be
Thank you,
involved
Rod.
Thanks,
to
Rod.
have it succeed.
Have a good day. Anyone else wishing to speak to Common Council?
I'm Bill Strunch from Bill's Body Shop on South Bend, 1818 South Olive Street. I'm still trying to get together with the city engineers or somebody on the right-of-way where they're putting in the street. They're making Olive Street a single lane each way with a center turn lane, no parking on either side of the street. And it's eliminating all the parking in front of my place of business that we've been out there for 55 years. They suggested that I put a parking lot on the side of my building, which is the parking lot there on the side. The storage lot is 50 by, goes back 100 feet. I've got some estimates on moving or putting a fence back further, paving a lot, and a few other things that have to be done. I still don't know what the city expects of a parking lot. That's my problem. I'm trying to get together with the city engineers, and hopefully they can do something. I've been talking to Mr. Gordy, and he's been helping me out, as well as Oliver Davis, and I thank you very much for your help so far.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I do have some proposals and prices.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Name and address, sir.
Hello, my name is Randall Norris, 802 South 31st Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46615. I'm here on behalf of my employers. They're investors in this area. They have several properties in the Coquillard Park area and throughout South Bend. I'm mainly talking about Coquillard Park right now. I've done a lot of work in that area. I've been there for probably about 3 years now. In 3 years, I've witnessed 4 instances of gunfire in that park. Not around that park, in that park. 3 of those 4 times, there were small children playing in that park. How lucky are we that no one's been hit yet? And they want solutions to that problem. No one feels safe in that neighborhood anymore. Just last night, we had an incident, about 8:45. There were 30 to 40 shots fired. 30 to 40 shots with children in that park. One of the bullets actually went through into one of our houses, went in the wall, went through the wall, through the living room, through the bedroom, and lodged in a headboard. So you're not even safe in your own home in that area anymore. A bullet can get you. The people I work for, Amanda Schutz, she would love to have a conversation. She wants to be involved in a solution. They're just looking for something that works, something common sense that is going to solve this problem. And she'd like to speak with you personally, Mr. Furlick. If I could have your contact information at the end of the meeting, I'd like that. But I just want everybody to be aware of what's going on there, and our luck's going to run out, and something needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody.
And see,